Good morning, everyone. My name is V. Pansres. I am from CSIT B section. My roll number is C7. Today's my presentation is pollution causes due to burning of fossil fuels. Subject chemistry. Before going to the topic, what about the fossil fuels? Burning of fossil fuels is one of the main sources of air pollution. When fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gases are burned, they release a variety of pollutants into the air. These pollutants can have severe consequences for both the environment and human health. There are two types of pollutants that are produced when fossil fuels are burned: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants are eliminated directly into the atmosphere, while secondary pollutants are formed when the primary pollutants react with another substances in the atmosphere. Some of the primary pollutants produced when fossil fuels are burned into the carbon monoxide, nitroxides, sulfur dioxides, and particulate matter. These pollutants can cause respiratory problems, contribute to the form of acid rain, and damage crops and other vegetation. What are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are non-renewable resources that were formed from the remains of plants and animals that lived million years ago. These remains were burned under the sediments and rocks, and over time, heat and pressure transformed them into fossil fuels. There are three main types of fossil fuels: coal, oil, and natural gases. Coal is solid fossil fuel that is primarily used for electricity generation. Oil is liquid fuel that is used to produce gasoline, diesel, and other petroleum products. Natural gases is a gas fossil fuel that is primarily used for heating and cooking. Fossil fuels and energy production. Fossil fuels are the primary source of energy production. In many parts of the world, they are used to generate electricity, power vehicles, and heat homes. However, burning fossil fuels have severe environmental consequences, including air pollution, water pollution, and the release of greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming and climate change. Is a major source of electricity generation, particularly in developing countries. It is cheap and abundant, but burning coal produces high level of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. As a result, there is a growing interest in clear energy such as natural gases, wind, and solar power. Oil is primarily used for transportation and is a key ingredient in gasoline and diesel fuel. However, the use of oil also has significant environmental consequences, including oil spills and the release of greenhouse gases. As a result, there is growing interest in electric vehicles and other forms of transportation that use clear energy sources. Types of pollutants. When fossil fuels are burned, they produce a variety of pollutants that can have severe consequences for both the environment and human health. Some of the main types of pollutants that are produced include carbon monoxide, CO, a toxic gas that is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. CO can cause headaches, dizziness, and nausea, and can be fatal in high concentrations. Nitrogen oxide (NOx), a family of gases that includes nitrogen monoxide (NO) and nitrogen dioxide (NO2). NOx can cause respiratory problems, contribute to the formation of acid rains, and damage crops and other vegetation. Sulfur dioxide (SO2), a gas that is released when fossil fuels that contain sulfur are burned. SO2 can cause respiratory problems, contribute to the formation of acid rains, and damage crops and other vegetation. Particulate material, that is called PM. Tiny particles that are released into air when the fossil fuels are burned. PM can cause respiratory problems, contribute to the formation of smog, and damage crops and other vegetation. Carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a primary pollutant that is produced when fossil fuels are burned. CO is a colorless, odorless, and tasteless gas that is released when the fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gases are burned in power plants, factories, and vehicles. CO is a toxic gas that can be very dangerous, particularly when it is present in high concentrations. When it is inhaled, CO reduces the amount of oxygen that in the body can absorb, lead to headaches, dizziness, nausea, and even death in extreme cases. It can also have long-term effects on health, including cardiovascular and neurological problems. CO is a primary pollutant because it is directly eliminated into the air when fossil fuels are burned, rather than being formed through chemical reactions in the atmospheres like some secondary pollutants. They are reduced in CO emulsion requires strategies such as improvement of fuel efficiency, using clear fuel, and implementing emulsion control technologies in vehicles and industries. Nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen are family of primary pollutants that are produced when fossil fuels are burned. NOx are formed when nitrogen in the air reacts with oxygen under high temperatures and pressures. When occur during the combustion of fossil fuels in vehicles, power plants, and other industrial purposes. NOx contribute to the air pollution and have a range of negative impacts on human health and the environment. They can irritate the lungs, trigger asthma attacks, and contribute to respiratory illnesses such as bronchitis and emphysema. NOx can also react with another pollutants in the atmosphere to form secondary pollutants such as ground level ozone, which can exacerbate respiratory problems and cause other health impacts. In addition to their health impacts, NOx can also contribute to the environment problems such as acid rains, which can damage forests, lakes, and other natural resources. In aquatic environment, nitrogen oxide can lead to the growth of harmful algal blooms and low oxygen death zones. Sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide (SO2) is a primary pollutant that is produced when fossil fuels are burned. SO2 is formed when sulfur in the fuel reacts with oxygen in the air during the combustion process. SO2 is a toxic gas that can have negative impacts on the human health, particularly for individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions such as asthma and emphysema. It can cause irritations of eyes, nose, throat, and lungs, and can exacerbate respiratory problems. Additionally, SO2 can react with other pollutants in the atmosphere to form fine particulate material, which can have further negative impacts on human health. SO2 can also contribute to the environment problems such as acid rain, which can damage forest crops and buildings. Acid rain occurs when SO2 and other pollutants react with moisture in the air to form sulfuric acid, which falls to the ground as rain, snow, or dry particles. Efforts to reduce SO2 emulsion include strategies such as using cleaner fuels, implementing emulsions, controlling technologies, and using renewable energy resources. For example, the use of natural gases instead of coal in the power plants can significantly reduce SO2 emulsion. Additionally, the implementation of emission control technologies such as scrubbers can help to remove SO2 and other pollutants from the exhausting gases of industrial processes. Particulate material. Particulate material is primary pollutant that is produced when fossil fuels are burned. Particular material is a complex mixture of tiny solid and liquid particles that can be emitted into the air during combustion of fossil fuels in the vehicles, power plants, and other industrial processes. PM can have negative impacts on human health, particularly for individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions such as asthma and emphysema. When inhaling, PM can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter to the bloodstreams, causing a range of health problems such as respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, and premature death. In addition to their direct impacts on human health, PM can also contribute to the environment problems such as reduced visibility and acid rains. PM can also have negative impacts on ecosystems, including crops and other vegetation, by reducing photosynthesis and impairing plant growth. Ozone. Ozone, O3, is a secondary pollutant that is formed when fossil fuels are burned. Ozone is not directly emitted from fossil fuel combustion, but it is instead formed in the air atmosphere through a complex series of chemical reactions, including primary pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and volatile organic components. Nitrogen oxide and volatile organic components are emitted into the air during the combustion of fossil fuels in the vehicles, power plants, and other industrial processes. These pollutants can then react with sunlight to form ozone, which can have negative impacts on human health and environment. Ozone is highly reactive gas that can irritate the lungs, trigger asthma attacks, and contribute to respiratory illness such as bronchitis and emphysema. It can also cause eye and nose irritation, reduce lung function, particularly in vulnerable populations such as children, the elderly, and individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions. In addition to their health impacts, ozone can also have negative impacts on crops and other vegetation. Reduce photosynthesis and improve plant growth. Ozone can also contribute to environment problems such as acid rain, which can damage forests, crops, and buildings. Carbon dioxide. We know carbon dioxide is CO2, is not a typical classified as primary pollutant, although it is one of the primary greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. CO2 is produced when fossil fuels are burned, and it is most significant greenhouse gas in the terms of its overall impact on climate. When the released into the atmosphere, CO2 traps heat and warms the planet, contributing to raise the temperature, sea level rises, and other effects of climatic change. While CO2 is not a direct pollutant like carbon monoxide or sulfur dioxide, its impact on the environment and human health is significant. Rising CO2 levels in the atmosphere have been linked to more extreme weather events, increases air pollution, and changes to ecosystems, among other impacts. Additionally, the warming caused by CO2 emulsion can also have indirect impacts on human health, such as increased heat-related illnesses and the spread of infectious diseases. Acid rains. Acid rain is a form of precipitate that is an acid in nature with a pH level lower than 5.6. It is a primary caused by emulsion of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide oxides into the atmosphere, which reacts with water and oxygen and other chemicals to form sulfuric acid and nitric acid. These emulsions are mainly produced by burning of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gases for industrial transportation purposes. When acid rain falls on plants and bodies of water, it can cause significant damage to the ecosystems. The rain in the acid in the rain can leach essential nutrients from soil, making it difficult for plants' growth. It can also damage the leaves and reduce a plant ability to photosynthesize. In aquatic ecosystems, acid rains can make lakes and rivers to acid for some species of fish and other aquatic life to survive, leading to declines in the population and biodiversity. The effects of acid rains can also extend to the human health. Breathing in high levels of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides can cause respiratory problems, particularly for people with asthma or other respiratory issues. Global warming. Global warming, also known as the climate change, is the long term increase in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere and oceans. The burning of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas is more major contributor to increase in the atmospheric greenhouse gases, which are causing global warming. Gases such as carbon dioxide CO2, methane CH4, and nitrous oxide NO2 trap heat in the atmosphere and prevent it from escaping into the space. Such as the concentration of these gases increases due to human activity, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, the Earth temperature rises. This warming effect can cause a range of negative impacts, including melting glaciers and ice caps, rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and changes in ecosystems. The effects of global warming are far reaching and can impact human health, the economy, and the environment. Heat waves and droughts and flooding caused by the climate change can lead to the food and water shortages, displacement of people, and increases risk of disease. Rising sea levels can cause coastal erosion, flooding, and loss of critical habitats. Climate change can also affect global trade, transportation, and infrastructure. Climate change. Climate change is a long-term alteration in the Earth's average weather patterns, including temperatures, precipitation, and weather. Burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gases releases a large amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, leading to an increase in the Earth's temperature and causing climate change. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide (CO2), methane (CH4), and nitrous oxide (NO2) trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere, prevent it from escaping to the space. As the concentration of gases increases due to human activities, the Earth temperature increases. These warming effects can cause a range of negative impacts, including melting glaciers and ice caps, rises sea level, more frequent and severe weather events, and changes in the ecosystems. Climate change can have significant impacts on human societies and the environment. It can cause changes in the weather patterns, leading more frequent and severe natural disasters such as hurricanes, droughts, and floods. It can also affect food production, water resources, and public health. Rising sea levels and changes in precipitation patterns can lead to the displacement of people and loss of infrastructure in coastal communities. Solutions. The problem causing for the burning fossil fuels such as global warming and air pollution requires a large range of solutions such as address both individual and systematic factors. Some solutions include reducing energy consumption. This can be achieved through a variety of measures such as increasing energy efficiency in the homes, houses, and industries. For example, by using energy efficient appliances, lights, and insulation, we can significantly reduce our energy consumption and associated green gas emission. Transition to the renewable energy sources. Investing in and expanding the usage of renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power can help to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and associated green gas emulsion. Promoting cleaner transportation by reducing the number of vehicles on the road, increasing the usage of public transportation, and promoting electric and hybrid vehicles, we can reduce air pollution and greenhouse gases. Implementing policies and regulations, government can enact policies and regulations to incentivize and enforce the adoption of cleaner energy sources and transportation, such as carbon pricing, subsidies for renewable energy, and emission standards for vehicles. International cooperation and agreements. The cooperations of nations and the development of international agreements such as Paris Agreement are critical for addressing the global nature of issuing climate change and reducing greenhouse gases emission on global scale. Carbon capture and storage CCS. This technology involves capturing carbon dioxide from the emission of fossil fuels plants, industrial processes, and other sources, and then storing it in a geological formation or using it in the other applications. Research and development invested in research and development of new technologies and innovation to reduce greenhouse gases emission can also play a critical role in addressing the problem caused by the burning of fossil fuels. Conclusion. In the conclusion, the pollution can caused by burning of fossil fuels is significant problem that was wide-ranging impacts on human health, the environment, and the global economy. The release of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide into the atmosphere leads to the climate change, which can cause a range of negative impacts such as rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and change in the economy systems. Air pollution from the burning of fossil fuel can also lead to the respiratory problems, heart diseases, and other health issues. To address this problem, we need to take a comprehensive approach that includes reducing energy consumption, transition to renewable resources, promoting clean air transportation, permitting policies and regulations, investing in research and development, and fostering international cooperation and agreements. By taking these steps, we can reduce the greenhouse gases emission and improve the health and well-being of our planet and its inhabitants. It is crucial that we take action on to the mitigate and negative impacts of the burning fossil fuels and work together to more sustainable future for generations to come. This is about the burning of fossil fuels. Thank you for the giving opportunity.